There's very few things I can imagine actually feeling good about selling, and this is one of the few.
Go back to the beginning of our discussion here where you said you don't have a job and luckily you can do this. That's not only a job. I mean, you've taken on kind of a whole manufacturing
Yeah,
and shipping facility.
right. But I don't think, like, can you call it a job if you don't really make any money?
Second, but I want to kind of make sure we talk about the fact that she has diversified also outside of social media and is selling a physical product.
Well, okay, what happened was a gentleman reached out to me from a company, and his idea was he would get some gardeners to market insect frass, which is a great plant food. It's like the insect excrement from black soldier fly larvae. He reached out to several gardeners. I was one of them. I was super wary. I was like, I don't know, like who you are. You could be like a weirdo. Like he wanted me to give him money up front.
Which is highly likely that he could have been.
Right. So I insisted on like a Zoom call. I felt like I needed to see him and speak to him in real time. I said, well, you know what? You send me some and I'm going to test it out in my garden. And if I think this is cool and like works, I'll get back to you. Well, unfortunately, this was like in like beginning of summer. And by the time I could do an entire really well thought out growing experiment, it's end of summer. And that's when I was like, this stuff is awesome. I'm interested. He was like, well, great. Like we're headed into fall, but okay. And so my role was to provide like a package design and to market it via my social media channels. And that's where having a social media channel, whatever platform you choose, where you have an audience base that you need two things to be able to sell to people on social media, in my mind. You need the trust of your followers and you need them to like you. Like you need to be likable.
Yeah.
So that's where answering all the DMs and the comments for years and years and years comes in. I felt like I had a group of people that trusted me, that I'm not going to sell them ashes from a fireplace instead of insect frass and call it insect frass. If they were following me, hopefully they didn't hate me. And so we started doing this and it was going really well. But then he decided, we don't want to have to ship this anymore, blah, blah, blah. You take over the shipping. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they still sent me the bags of frass. Like they would get the bags, they would fill them, they would seal them, and then they'd ship them to me. And then I would take the orders because they were taking the orders before. I would take the orders and I would ship it. So I had to buy like mailers. Like I had to look at mailers. I had to learn how to work a Shopify storefront, pay for a Shopify storefront. That's like almost $400 a year. And then I had to buy a label printer. I didn't know anything about that. Like there's all of these costs started adding up. And I started realizing, ooh, I'm making like $1 a bag. Like how is this worth my time? Then they decided they wanted none of the business anymore. But I'm like, I really want to keep selling it because I think it's cool and I love it. So now I procure the insect frass. I don't actually have an insect farm. I procure the frass from a very reputable source that's located here in North Carolina. I had to order the bags. I ordered the wrong size bags, another learning experience. I had to design them online. That may have taken a month. I fill them. I had to buy a heat sealer so I can seal the bags. So now I'm in charge of all the operations. And that has been the biggest learning curve. But I don't regret it because I've learned so much that if I were to ever sell something else,
right,
I know a little bit now. I won't say I know a lot, but I know enough.
Go back to the beginning of our discussion here where you said you don't have a job and luckily you can do this. That's not only a job. I mean, you've taken on kind of a whole manufacturing and shipping facility.
Right. But I don't think, like, can you call it a job if you don't really make any money doing it? Like,
we can call it something. But that's the struggle. That's part of this hustle that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny as you were describing all of this, how this all really interconnects. First kind of stem from you just personally wanting to share your gardening journey daily and just have fun with the community, and how that kind of slowly or fastly, depending on what your time frame is, into now you're designing bags and you're talking with a soldier fly farm and getting all this and you're filling it up and you're heat ceiling. I mean, all of this from you just wanted to grow a tomato back in 2020.
I know, right?
This is the definition of the hustle.
Right. This is the definition of the hustle. And like, I just don't know how people make money. Like when I start, like, I've started an account, I've got some free accounting software. I'm always trying to save $1 anywhere I can, but not in terms of quality of the product or anything. But, so I've got free accounting software. And when I started looking at like, okay, well, I spent $500 on bags that are the wrong size. And I bought a heat sealer and I had to buy like 200 eco envelopes and I had to buy a roll of postage stamp things. And then I had to buy a printer. And then I had to buy 200 pounds, 400 pounds of bulk insect frass. I'm like, looking, I'm like, whoa, we're so in the red.
on top of, hey, Amanda, you've got to do a fun video today and post it.
Right. And then also I should be talking about my insect frass. I almost never talk about kick-ass frass on my channel. People are like, wait, what? You sell this? And I'm like,
and just to make sure people understood what you just said, kick-ass frass is the name of the product, right? That they can buy from you.
Kick-ass frass, which, at one point, like they retained the name. I asked if I could buy it from them, the domain and kickassfrass.com. And they're like, no, we're just going to hold on to it for now, but don't worry, you can keep using it. And then all of a sudden it went dark. So then I had to go register with GoDaddy and get kickassfrass.org and rebuild the entire website. Like, it has been, I don't even know what the word is to describe what it has been, but
it's a hustle.
It's a hustle. But I'm like, I'm working so hard, and I think other people are too, to make so little money that it's so, isn't worth it. I don't know.
Before we get into some details, because I know you've got some details for us, at this point right now, have you broken even with your gardening passion? Anything that could be associated with your garden passion, are you kind of broken even with all of your costs associated?
Let's see.
Uh-oh.
You need to mark down the time for that noise, because that'll be great for the like small clips.